Hello and welcome to another video. This is for Algebra 1. This is part of my own curriculum series. We're in our second unit, which is all about graphing linear equations. And here we are in lesson 5, which is about graphing lines from standard form. So last lesson was a really good lesson because we talked about how to graph lines when they're in slope-intercept form. It would be nice if we had other options of how we could graph as well. So this is what we're going to do, is we're going to graph from a different starting form. So let's take a look at what standard form actually is. A standard form is a way with just almost any kind of equation that we end up looking at in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and so on. There is typically a standard form, which is a way that it usually means it's the way we most often see that kind of equation is in standard form. I would argue that linear equations are less likely to be in standard form than any other ones, but it does have its purpose, its helpfulness. So this is what standard form is going to look like. This formula here kind of in the middle where we've got ax plus by equals c, that is standard form. Now that's all letters, and if you haven't already noticed that that's going to be a thing for us to have formulas that are just all letters, hey, by the way, that's going to be a thing for us. So it's got A, B, and C, which are capitalized letters. Those are going to be integers. They could be positive, they could be negative. C could, well, actually any of them could be 0, but not all of them could be 0 or we wouldn't have an actual equation. But they're integers, so we aren't going to see any fractions in standard form, which is kind of nice. We're just going to see a number in front of x, a number in front of y, and a number on the other side. And the other thing that makes it standard form is that we put it in alphabetical order. So we put x before y, and that's part of our standard form. So later on, we'll do a thing where we try to write things in standard form, but for now, we're just going to see how can I graph if it's already in standard form. Because if it's in standard form, I can't see the slope or the y-intercept. By the way, this capital B is not the same as our lowercase b in slope-intercept form. Kind of annoying, but the lowercase b in slope-intercept form, which tells us our y-intercept, that's not what this b is telling us. A, b, and c are just whatever number happens to be there. They don't actually correspond to any part of our graph, like, by themselves. We have to do some work to figure out what our slope is, or what our y-intercept, or in general, what things are. So we actually have a few options to how we want to approach this. By a few, I mean 3. There are 3 options for how we can graph from standard form. And we're going to do 2 out of the 3 because I think the third one is not worth it to do. So that kind of gives away to you how I feel about it. So the first way is graphing using intercepts. Now we were using the y-intercept and slope-intercept form, but there's also a thing called an x-intercept. And if you can imagine a line going through your coordinate plane, there's a decent chance that it's going to go through both the x-axis and the y-axis. So if we can find both of those intercepts, then we'll have 2 points and we can draw the line that goes between them. And it turns out from standard form, it's actually super duper easy to find both of them. We'll walk through that in a moment. The second way we could do it is to use a table of values. This is my least favorite way because the other 2 ways I think are easier, because if we use a table of values and so we pick things for x, we're having to solve for y over and over and over again, and it is time consuming. So I think it's the way that takes the most time. Our third option, and this one is a very popular option, even though I think technically number 1 is faster most of the time. Our third option is that we can actually solve the equation for y so that it's in slope-intercept form and then graph it from slope-intercept form. And this is something that, at least in my class right now, in my curriculum, we have not done this yet. So that's going to be a little bit new to us, is how do we solve for y in an equation that has an x and a y in it. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Is first we're going to try graphing using intercepts, and then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to solve for y and then graph from slope-intercept form once we've solved for y. So here's how to graph using intercepts. It is also, another way of saying it would be to call it the cover-up method. And I'll explain why as we do it, although it'll be a little bit tricky because I usually use my hand to cover things up on a board, and I can't do that with you because this is a little different. So I'll have to get creative. Okay, So this is also something that we can generalize for equations, finding x and y intercepts. For any equation that has an x and a y, we can find the x-intercept by putting a 0 in for y and solving. And then we can find the y-intercept by plugging in 0 for x and solving. So that's going to be two separate things that we do. And we're going to do that here on this example, 6x plus 2y equals 12. And not worry about graphing it, we're just going to find the intercepts. So if I want to find the x-intercept, I put a 0 where y is. So I'm going to do this over here a little bit. 6x plus 2, where y is, I'm going to put 0. And here's why it's called the cover-up method, because when I put that 0 where y is, 2 times 0 is 0. So we could just cover up that and then continue solving. So I usually will, I'm going to see if I can make this happen. So I normally will cover up the 2y part of this with my hand and be like, see, the 0 there makes it go away. So we can just do 6x equals 12, divide both sides by 6, and we get our x-intercept, which is 2. So, easy peasy. But we could just cover it up with ink, and then I wouldn't have to slouch down. So x equals 2, that's our x-intercept. Then we can do the same thing, or the opposite thing, to find the y-intercept. We put a 0 where x is. So 6 times 0 plus 2y equals 12. And then we divide both sides by 2, because this is going to get covered up. And y equals 6. So that means that our line goes through the x-axis at 2, and our line goes through the y-axis at 6, and that would be enough information for us to graph this. So instead of actually having to think about plugging in the 0 for each of those, the cover-up method says, one at a time, cover up x and y and solve for the variable that's left, and it gives you the intercepts. And so that's what makes this super easy to do. So let's try it here on example 1. I'm going to cover up the 2x so that now I can divide both sides by 3, or maybe the easier thing to do, because I'm going to have to write this a couple times, is to say, okay, I've covered up the 2x, so it's not there. Now let's solve 3y equals 6. So divide both sides by 3, and I get that y equals 2. What that means is I have a y-intercept over here at 2. Now I'm going to cover up the 3y, which leaves me with 2x equals 6. So divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 3. So this is what we haven't done yet, is putting an x-intercept. So on the x-axis at positive 3, I need to put a dot. And then I can draw the line that goes between these. I could make more points if I wanted to, if I notice kind of what the slope appears to be based on how far apart these lines are, or I can just try to draw a nice line, and that's fine too. So that's how we graph using intercepts. So let's do another one, example 2. So I cover up the 3x. I don't cover up the negative, because that negative is a part of the 4. So when I cover up 3x, I get negative 4y equals 24. So I solve that and get y equals negative 6. Y equals negative 6. Then I cover up the negative 4y, and I get 3x equals 24. Divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 8. So I'm going to put a point at 8 on the x-axis, and a point at negative 6 on the y-axis. And then I'm going to draw a line that goes between them and past them and put arrows on either side. It's a good looking line, if I do say so myself. So let's do one more like this and see if we've got the hang of it. You may have noticed, by the way, that these worked out really nicely, that when I divided my numbers over, I got integers. That's not going to happen on this one. Not on both of them, at least. If I cover up negative 10x, I get 5y equals 25. Divide by 5. That one's fine. That divides evenly. But if I do it with the other one, if I cover up 5y, negative 10x equals 25. Divide by negative 10. I get a negative something. Now, because we're graphing, it will be best to either put it as a mixed number or a decimal, whichever your preference is. 25 over 10 simplifies to be 5 over 2, which is also the same as 2.5. So this is negative 2.5. That's not terrible as far as graphing goes. So on the x-axis, I want to be halfway between -2 and -3. But it's also not necessarily super duper ideal, then that's what we got. So this is one of the reasons that we might instead choose to change it to slope-intercept form, because my y-intercept is a whole number, and if I knew what the slope was, it'd be easier for me to figure out kind of where all of my nice points are. That's a reason why we might end up deciding that we wanted to have slope-intercept form, because in none of these actually have we like gone about finding the slope, right? We could have, but this one would be a little tricky since we have one of our intercepts is a fraction. So let's take a look at how do I solve for y so I can use slope-intercept form even when I'm in standard form to start off. We always save what's right next to y for last, just like whenever we were solving equations. So I'm going to subtract 6x over to the other side. Now we can write this one of two ways. We can write, the 2y is going to go first no matter what. We can write 12 minus 6x, or we can write negative 6x plus 12. And of those two things, the second way, the one that I wrote down, is slightly better just because it makes it look more like slope-intercept form. If you think about slope-intercept form, it's y equals mx plus b. So the x comes first, and then the regular number comes second. So putting the x first here will just make it look more like slope-intercept form when we're done. Second point I want to make here is if you're like, wait, shouldn't we do something with the negative 6x and the plus 12? The answer is no. Those aren't like terms. We're saying we have negative 6 of something that we don't actually know what it is. We have negative 6 of an unknown amount. We have just the number 12. We can't add those together and get something that makes sense. It would be the same as if we said, well, I'm in debt 6 apples because it's negative. I'm in debt 6 apples, but here's 12 oranges. They're two separate things that we're talking about there. Even though 12 doesn't have a variable, we're just saying they're two different things. We can't put them together. So we leave them separate, and then we look back at y and say, what else do we need to do to solve this? Well, I need to divide both sides by 2. Here's another place that can be tricky. When you divide in an equation, everything gets divided. So it would probably be best for you to write it like this, that we want to do this divided by 2 and this divided by 2. Everything gets divided by 2. When we multiply or divide an equation, everything gets it. When we add or subtract, that's where we just add it on one side and can kind of choose where we add it instead of having to add it to each individual thing. All right, so when we divide negative 6x by 2, we just do the negative 6 and the 2 divided, and the x hangs out next to it. So negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, so this turns into negative 3x. And then we do 12 divided by 2, and that gives us plus 6. Now, can you see how this looks like slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. So now we could figure out what's the slope of this, what's the y-intercept. We could graph it. It'd be a good time. So let's actually do that. 2x plus 3y equals 6. So it says solve for y then graph, so that's what we're going to do. We are going to always start by moving the x over to the other side. So since this is a positive 2x, I'm going to subtract 2x over to the other side and get 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. We're going to divide everything by 3 and get, now here we have a negative 2x over 3, and so we're going to group the negative 2 over 3 together and then put the x next to it so that it's a fraction, negative 2/3, and then our x is just hanging out right by it. We don't have to write it that way, but that's the way that makes it look the most like slope-intercept form. You can write the x on top with the 2. It just might confuse you more once you start trying to figure out what the slope is. And then we do 6 divided by 3, which is a positive 2. And now we can graph this. We start with the plus 2 as the y-intercept. And then negative 2/3. Remember that you put the negative either with the top or bottom, but not both. So I'm going to go down 2 and run right 3. Down 2, right 3. And then I could do another one. I could go the other way, but here I've got my line. And it looks so nice. Now if you're thinking, well, I could have done that so much quicker using intercepts. Why can't I just use intercepts all the time? Well, this is one of those situations where we need to learn how to do it more than one way, because sometimes it's easier one way than the other. It just so happens that some of our easiest ones to solve for y and graph are also going to be easy to use intercepts to solve. So instead of trying to give you super hard ones, especially right from the beginning, I'm giving you an easy thing that yes, we could do a different way, but it's going to help us build those skills. There are lots of times where we might need to solve for y that has nothing to do with graphing in slope-intercept form. So this is also just a general skill we're building, not necessarily even specific to graphing. So by all means, if you look at one of these and you say, oh, I think I could graph it really easily with intercepts, I am impressed with you for realizing that, but do try to practice it the way that's intended, just so that you get the amount of practice needed for whatever the skill is. And then if you're on a test, or if you're doing something later on and it doesn't tell you which way to do it, then you're free to use intercepts. That sounds like a great idea. Go for it. In fact, it's one of my favorite ways to graph, is using intercepts. Example 5. So we're going to solve this for y. So we're going to start with the x. This time it's a negative 3x, so we're going to do the opposite, which is add 3x over. And then we have 5y equals 3x plus 10. If you write down 10 plus 3x, that's fine. You just need to make sure that you remember which of the numbers is giving you your slope and which one's giving you your y-intercept, which is based on which one is being multiplied with x, and not necessarily which one is first or second. So then we divide everything by 5, and 3 divided by 5 doesn't actually divide or simplify, but we just get to leave it because it's the slope, and we're fine with slope being fractions. In fact, it's kind of preferable, right? 3/5 x plus 2. So our line goes through a y-intercept of 2. We're going to go up 3 and right 5. Down 3, left 5. And here's our line. Beautiful. We got one more to do, and this is actually going to show you one reason why it's helpful to have this skill, even if you love using intercepts, even when using graphing with intercepts gives you fractions. If you're still like, I'm totally fine with that, this next example does not work by using intercepts. So check it out. If we cover up either of these and solve, we get 0 for both. So all using intercepts here does is tell me that I have an x and a y-intercept of 0, and that's only 1 point. So take a moment to do that. If you're like, what are you saying? Cover up 2x, solve. Cover up negative 4y, solve. We get 0 both times. So no matter what, we would have to do something else to find another point. We could just pick another number to plug in, and that would work, but we could solve for y and get our slope. I'm going to subtract 2x over to the other side and get negative 4y equals negative 2x plus 0, although we don't actually need to write down plus 0 because plus 0 is just plus nothing. But if you would like to have it written down because we would use it as our y-intercept anyway, that's fine. Y equals negative 2 divided by negative 4 is a positive 1/2. 0 divided by negative 4 is 0. Like I said, you can put plus 0 here, you can leave the plus 0 off, whichever one makes more sense to you. From our y-intercept of 0, we want to go up 1 and right 2. And so here is our line. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate a like, subscribe, comment, whatever you've got. You're welcome to go look at my website, which I'm adding to all the time with more resources. And can't wait to see you in the next video, which will be a review video of Unit 1 and Unit 2, solving linear equations and then graphing linear equations. So I'll see you guys then. Bye.